We are here now with Felix Rosenqvist. Felix drives the number 60 Mike Shank racing entry with many sponsors on it. One of them being, most importantly, SiriusXM. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Yeah?
Feeling great.
How's media day going?
Pretty good. I woke up in New York, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you go to bed there?
Yes.
Okay, all
I
right.
did.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a surprise
No.
because you said it like, yeah, I woke up in New York.
It was actually a surprise yesterday. We had our, me, Helio, and Tom, we had our pretty faces on a SiriusXM billboard on Times Square.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's pretty fancy.
Yeah. It was, I thought I was going to meet like a rapper or something, and then all of a sudden, our faces show up in the middle of New York. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
On Times
Yeah.
Square.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say they've had their face on a billboard at Times Square.
No.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I assume you got pictures.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Helio got more than me.
There's not a real shock in that one.
No.
He must have been pretty proud.
He
of
does
that.
love himself.
Yeah. Well, he's a big deal. He's done a lot.
Yeah, 4 reasons to love himself.
At least four.
Yeah.
At least four. Well, I mean, let's kind of touch on that. I mean, your teammate this year, one of your teammates this year, is the most successful active driver at the Speedway, one of the 4 most successful drivers of all time here. You've had pretty good runs here the last few years with your previous team, but what's it been like getting to work with the 4-time winner?
Honestly, it's been a lot of fun, and it's probably not what I expected it to be. He's like super casual, super chill, and he's
Really?
super happy to drive. And I think that's his strength. He whenever he jumps in a car, he's like, he loves it every time. I don't think it matters which car it is, what day it is, how he's feeling. Like whenever he puts on a helmet, he's like, this is what I do. And that's super cool to see.
That is cool. The surprising part is the casual part. So
Yeah.
what were you expecting working with him?
I don't know. They had all these like little tricks, and he tied his shoes especially. Like,
Ah,
it's like when
that
you
is
grow
like
up,
TK.
like you grow up watching your heroes, right? You're like, what's their secret? You know?
Right.
And I feel like Helio's secret is, he's
Get on with it.
yeah.
Just don't overthink it,
No, exactly. Yeah, no overthinking, and
which is so easy to do in this
yeah,
business.
I think more drivers than not do exactly that.
Yeah.
And I've been victim of that for sure, once or twice. But yeah, it's actually a good lesson for myself for sure.
So you've had a really strong start to the year with the team, especially in qualifying. That's kind of been a notable strength for you guys. Then we come to Indy, first oval of the year. Obviously, a very different deal here, even from other ovals. But you kind of carried on right where you've been all year in terms of qualifying pace. Were you guys surprised to be as quick as you were?
Yes and no. I think the ovals have definitely been a question mark for me. You know, just for the reason that we haven't ran any. Felt good here on the open test, but Fast Friday I wasn't feeling like super confident, and then in qualifying we ended up the best qualifying Honda, and P9 third row. That was great, man. And I mean the team has been good, and like when I see the car build at Shank, like when I was there this winter first time, like it's probably the best looking cars I've ever seen. And obviously when we say that to people, they might like all the cars are the same, but the details, the little things that matters when all the cars are the same parts at least. No, they definitely do it right there.
Yeah, the devil is in the details when everybody's working with the same bits, right?
Yeah.
And you've driven for some very accomplished teams, so that's a pretty big compliment for the team, and kind of proof of the program that Mike Shank puts forward. I think Shank's one of those guys that a lot of the drivers like. I think drivers would like driving for him because he seems like one of those natural racers. Is that kind of what it's like with him?
100%. Exactly. He used to be a racer, and it just feels like talking to a race car driver. He gets all the little things that we go through, and but honestly he just gives me like everything I need, and that's been super cool. He told me when I jumped on board, like, dude, you're our guy. Like we need you. We need you to grow this team, and we need direction. And I think I needed direction as well. And it's like we both just kind of like clicked, and off we went. And it's been super great. Yeah.
Racing with teammates, right? It's obviously a big part of this sport, and you have to rely on each other to push the whole team forward and get better. At some point, you've got to get selfish on Sunday. But is it a different dynamic because there's a golden rule, right? If there's like one rule in racing, it's don't crash with your teammate.
Yeah.
Is it a little bit heightened and a little bit worse when one of your teammates is also one of your bosses? Because technically Helio's an owner in the team now?
And he's running to be the only
And
fifth.
he's trying to be the only 5-time winner in the history of the
Yeah.
sport?
No.
Or we
I
haven't
mean,
got
you know
that far
how
ahead yet.
you know how it is. Like I always leave extra room to my teammates. I always have done. Maybe except from Rossi a couple of times. But I think when it comes to for the 500, you go for it. You know, you have to unplug the radio and keep flat.
I do like that approach. That's a solid way of doing it. So again, qualifying was impressive. Monday we got to switch to kind of race trim. We still have one more 2-hour practice on carb day, but how do you feel in race trim? What's the car like in traffic?
Good, man. I feel like everyone feels like their cars are good. The last couple of years, everyone you talk to like, yeah, our car is good.
Do you know what's weird is for Monday, I was looking at the track temps. It's over 120-degree track temps. That's normally when things are starting to go south and you see a big difference between a good car and a bad car.
Yeah.
Guys were following really close.
I know.
Everybody seemed pretty happy. Where's this coming? Is this the new tire that Firestone brought? Is it just everybody's found a way to hone in on the setups, or where are we at?
I think it's a bit of both, and it's definitely a trend. Because I remember my first couple of years here, and you would always have some like Penske. They're horrible on carb day, and then they came back and they're like, there's always all these swings where some teams are good when it's hot, and then they're bad when it's cold, etc. And no, I don't know. I think everyone's just probably found the race setup, like where the car needs to be on ride heights and stuff, and super hard to predict. I feel like my car is definitely, worthy of calling a great car, but the problem is if everyone else has it, right? And the one thing we have seen is that, like I'd say 5 cars out there are really quick and clean air, and that's a good strength if you want to win this race, because at some point you got to lead it, right?
Yeah.
And our car is probably, I wouldn't say, it's probably somewhere in the middle and maybe better.
Upper mid pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of leading performance, and there's some that are really, really slow compared to the Penske's for sure. So that I don't know exactly what that means.
Yeah.
Because you only need to lead it for 50 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
So
who are those cars in your mind that, when running out front, kind of stand out on top speed?
Penske's and Rossi, I think those are, and maybe it's hard to read the data, but a couple of McLarens, Penske, that they've definitely been outliers. Yeah.
Has there been a lot of talk in the team on how it seems like Chevy made a big step up, certainly in the qualifying boost, right, and that trim, but back to race trim, is the feeling that both manufacturers are pretty close, Honda and Chevy? There doesn't seem to be much between them in race running.
I think both packages have their strengths and weaknesses. I would say the Honda is probably a bit better when you bog down in the RPMs. You have a little bit more torque to work with down there. So, and that's key when you're running in traffic, right? I think the Chevys are a bit better when it just comes to like flat out performance, like leading especially. So I'm not sure what that means either. Like it's kind of a different scenario this year, I feel like. It seems like the manufacturers kind of gone different directions on what they want to achieve with their engines, or at least the product that actually got. So I'm pretty confident. I feel like we're sporty. We can pass people, and that's kind of all you can go with. Like your feeling with a car is the biggest thing. You got to stick to polishing that feeling all through the practice here before we get going.
So you've been in IndyCar now since 2019, right?
Yep.
And you've moved to Indianapolis. You live here. You and your fiance Emile are locals now. What was it like for you, kind of your first full month of May, and what's it like now when that calendar switches over to May 1st, being part of the town, living here? What's that experience like?
It's very different. I remember my first year, and I didn't understand it. I think that was the biggest thing. It was kind of like we talked about Alex when he won his first 500. Like it wasn't that he didn't he probably just didn't have enough experience of the event. And it was, every year you go back here, and when you live here, you just start to understand what all the tradition means. Like why do we milk the cow, and why do we do all these things, right? That seems very odd when you're a European guy coming over for the first time. And but I love it, man, and it's always a little bit of a love-hate because it's a lot of work, a lot of hours. I mean, for the guys, it's like they work all year round for this, but and it all comes down to that last lap, right? And that's really what matters. But I love it. I feel calmer than I did in my rookie year. Way more confident what I need from the car, and like it's almost like you can see when things are unfolding ahead of you on track, where your first couple of years you're just hanging on, like dodging bullets the whole race, and now you can see in the pack like something's about to break. You learn those little tells, and it's a good feeling when you come back and you feel that you got a grip of the race in a different way.
You also have, we talked about Helio, you also have a rookie teammate in Tom. Has it been interesting and kind of fun for you being the more seasoned guy, at least in that duo, and seeing him go through all these experiences and come off the track after his first qualifying run, or, after his first pack running with his first big moment, like you relating to that and kind of sharing some of your experiences with him?
For sure. And, me and Tom have known each other since we were like 15. And so I want him to do well. And I try to, I feel like I'm almost like that annoying dad, like, don't do this and don't do that. But you got to experience, and that as well. Like you got to go through these horrifying things on your own, like when you get loose or you push up in the gray, or glance the wall. Like you because I tell Tom to not do that, he's not going to avoid doing it. And I definitely saw him practice like the first couple of days. I watched his onboard. It's like, ooh, okay. But he's learning well. I think actually he's one of the most solid rookies I've seen here. He's definitely way better than I was my first year. And he's getting on with the grade, especially the traffic running. So I think he can be a dark horse for sure. He really understands like the setting up of the car and all that stuff. So he's a very smart guy, so I think he'll have a good chance as well.
All right, well, we know you've got a good chance being top Honda, starting P9. We're going to let you go, but before we do, one last question. We've been asking all the drivers this. May's known for its traditions and everything around the 500, but is there one that you really don't like? What's your least favorite Indy 500 month of May tradition?
I don't like that everything is like spread out. Like your RV's here, engineering's here.
Oh, you mean like geographical?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking like
I
over
have
the
to go
month.
downtown. Like you're always like moving around a lot. That's what I don't like. It's not really
the schedule's too big. It's not really a tradition.
It's like a geographical issue.
No, yeah. No, I mean more like, so like, for example, the banquet's been a popular answer. Some people don't like the public drivers meeting. Some people don't like, things like that, where it's just every year you've got to do it. The autograph session on Saturday, one of those things.
I'm definitely happy. Like once the autograph signing is done, the official one, then I'm like, okay, now I've signed my last autograph for a while. I'm happy this is done. It's like that just ramps up over the month because you're signing stuff all the time, right? And then you have this massive like 2-hour session, just signing. And then you're like, okay, I'm not going to sign anything for at least till Detroit.
All right, there you go. Felix Rosenqvist, best of luck. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, bud.
Thank you.